What's up, guys and gals? It is time for the latest chapter review for Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega, chapter 257, entitled Forget It. Just forget about it. We're going back to 1963, Joey. We're in a mobster film. You understand? We're in the Bronx. We're on the streets, and we're forgetting about it. Anyways, before we get underway with this chapter, which was going to be a live reaction, I'm glad it's not, because this is more of a, it's only 2 scenes, it's summarizing basically most of what we already know, and then leaves us on an unnecessary cliffhanger. So the chapter was, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just, it was an average chapter, right? Building suspense, sort of unnecessarily in my opinion, but is what it is. Anyway, so chapter 257. Before we get into that one, though, I just want to say big shout out to all the people who commented and liked and watched the last review, because it's very surprising. I expected that video to do extraordinarily, not poorly in views, poorly in response. I expected a lot more dislikes. I expected a lot of comments telling me, I don't know what I'm talking about. Are you a physiotherapist? Are you a muscle trainer? Are you this? All this stuff, and calling me every name in the book. I expected a lot of hate, is my point, and got almost none. Like, less than 0. Like, I think I have 2 dislikes out of 44 or something like that. So, just wanted to shout out and say thank you guys very much for that. I think this is just another example of, if you put 10 people in a room and 9 people are like, yeah, okay with it, but the loudest, most obnoxious, negative people are the ones you always hear, and it drowns out all the people who are totally fine with something. And I feel like that's what's happening with the Kengan community, because not just my own video, but I saw a lot of people on Reddit doing the same thing. Some people breaking down how, the physics of it, like I was explaining last time, and how the math works and all this stuff. So it's not just me who can read this manga, enjoy this manga. It's just there's not as many naysayers as I thought. It's just that they're very loud. They're very loud in the community, while all of the rest of us are just sitting back, reading it and going, I'm fine with it, and we don't, type out in all caps, right? So I think that that's something that's unfortunately tainted my opinion of the community as a whole, because, as I said, using the example of 10 people in a room, one naysayer brings down the energy of the whole room. So it is what it is, but I was just surprised and shocked of how much the video was actually enjoyed and not mocked or ridiculed, etc. So thank you guys very much for that. It was kind of cool to see the flip side of what I expected. So, but chapter 257, however, in all honesty, not nearly as good in my opinion as chapter 256 and stuff like that. Not because there's not any fighting or anything like that. I mean, I enjoy my meathead manga as much as the next guy, right? But the dialogue is important and stuff like that, and we always love conversations with Jackie, right? We love Jackie. We love Yamagohan. We love Joe, but he's asleep right now. He's drunk. But whatever. The fact is that I got a couple problems with the pacing and building unnecessary suspense for no real good reason. Okay, so first and foremost, the timestamps. They were unnecessary, and they don't really make a whole lot of sense. Basically, what they tell us at the beginning of this chapter is that, okay, while 255 and 256 are going on, 257 is happening. We're like, okay, all right, so concurrently, these things are happening at the same time. Because that must be relevant to something, right? Like, Shen's going to get a phone call or something like that, right? No. And then we break it up to build, once again, and we'll talk about it, to build the unnecessary, we don't know, cliffhanger, what's the condition thing. So we break up the scene to then go post 256. And then we continue the rest of the Shen Yamagohan conversation, which was apparently concurrent with the fight. But once again, if it's not relevant to the scene, there's no reason for us to know that. This conversation could have happened that long before Willem even encountered Ryan and stuff like that. It wouldn't have mattered. It could have happened post or previously. So I just found that kind of odd, because we break up the scene to build once again, the unnecessary suspense. But we totally ditch this is all happening concurrently thing because we're breaking up the scene. So right out of the gate, I'm finding this all kind of weird. Like, why are you pacing it like this? And then, as I said, the majority of the scene is just going down the list of ways that Shen wants to put his brain his two halves, the tiger and the dragon, into Oma and Ryuki respectively, so they can have an epic battle, right? That's basically it. That's basically it. We're going down the, well, your son made the cyber brain thing, but yeah, no, I'm not going to live long enough for that one. I mean, it's a rabbit hole. It might be possible, but probably not in my lifetime. So, yeah, no, I'm probably not, right? And then it's like, and then there's we could do the whole body, thing. We could insert, this section of doing this and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, but that one's basically like Hoi Sang, and yeah, no, that's basically not it. That's not what we're trying to do. We really want to physically separate ourselves so, we can't really hear each other and stuff. And he explains that his brain is sort of working like the left and right hemispheres of each other and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, okay. I mean, yeah, technically that is how the brain works. Different sides of the brain do different functions, They some are from motor skills. Different sections of the brain do different things. So I'm like, okay, yeah. That sort of makes sense, but Yamagohan basically calls him out like, you're absolutely insane here. Like, are you crazy? Like, we can't do that today. And there's even a shot here, a panel of showing like all three, Oma, Ryuki, and Shen, laying there with their heads cut open and just splatter of brain matter. Like, this is not going to work. This is going to be an overcooked lasagna, and nobody's going to be hungry, right? Like, this is just going to be a mess of brain matter by the time you're done, and you're all going to be dead anyway. So this is not going to work, right? Because his whole plan, after going through the cyber brain, yeah, you can't do that, and then the other thing is just basically Hoi Sang, we don't want to do that and stuff. We want to basically take our brain, cut it in half, and insert one half into Ryuki and one half into Oma. There is a fun little tidbit here which basically says, though we all basically knew about, but Oma is the tiger, which Oma is not Shen, as Shen has pointed out before. He is not me, meaning that Ryuki and Shen are the same as in the silent partner, the silent connector inside. He's two people in one. That's who Oma is. So, okay, fair enough. At least we got, it was pretty obvious at this point once we learned all about this. You're two people in one, Jackie, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So that much makes sense. But still, Yamagohan calls him out like, so, wait, you want to do highly advanced brain surgery that's never been done before, and you want to cut out Ryuki and Oma's brain because you're going to insert yourself into them, and Shen confirms, oh yeah, well, what's going to happen to them? Oh, they're going to die. Like, it's not going to be this, oh, I'm going to share my brain with Ryuki, and the tiger is going to share his brain with Oma. No, we're going to basically, done. And Yamagohan calls him out for that, being like, first of all, you can't do this. This technology is not there and stuff. Thankfully, in a way, Shen gets away with this, or Sandro gets away with this, which is kind of funny. He basically like, yeah, you're right. The technology doesn't exist now, but by my estimation, give me a few more decades, give me about 5 decades or so, and we'll be there. We're making crazy strides with brain surgery, so don't worry about it. So that's how he's getting around the whole, that would never be medically possible. And we have Dr. Hanafusu in this manga, and I'm going like, yeah, no, this is taking it to, this is dialing this up to 10, 11, 12, boom, we already broke the amplifier, right? We're shattering glass with this type of level of sci-fi. And I'm looking at it and I'm just going, okay, this is his workaround. It's like, oh, it's not possible yet. But when it is, I want to be ready because this is my long-term goal here. And funnily enough, had they not screwed around, because I still don't fully understand how they ended up with 2 people in one, but I think it's because of what the what is his name, Long Min or whatever, Long Yin, from the Dragon Clan, right? The guy who basically said, listen, he goes, you've been my friend, blah blah blah, and he's like, Hoi Sang is one thing, cloning you went a step too far. Like, now we're going against nature, my guy. Funnily enough, he's now proven right, which is one thing I like about this chapter, is basically, though I would like Shen to acknowledge it, but it's like my old friend, Mukaku's master, was right. Like, we went against the flow of nature, and now we hate it. Now we're paying for it. It didn't work. It sucks. So now we want to undo what we did. Because the only reason there's two people in one that I can sort of see here is because they cloned. And because of the clone plus the Hoiseng shit, they sort of ended up with two consciousnesses in one body, fantasy elements, that kind of idea. And they're like, yeah, no, we do not like this. This is, so I'm sort of feeling like that must be the case. I still don't get how two are in one necessarily without the cloning, but it would be interesting if that were the case. Their initial trial of doing cloning plus Hoiseng sort of screwed it up and didn't end up obviously the way they want. Now they're two people in one, etc., etc. So, what Yamagohan basically says, like, well, if they're dead and stuff, you look human, you act human, but he's not human, you know? He's got no empathy, he's got no heart. It's like, no, he's human, he's just a psychopath. He's just a sociopath, right? He lacks empathy, he lacks sympathy, he doesn't communicate, he doesn't understand. He's sort of like Ryuki at the beginning of the series, like, well, why can't I kill people? Like, I don't get it. Like, they were in my way. I killed them. Like, I eliminated the threat. Like, I don't get the problem with killing people, right? So, it's that sort of lack of understanding and stuff. And Shen's sort of in that group where it's like, can we sort of character develop him into understanding that or not? And then, as Yamagohan goes through this, he then says basically, you can't do that. They're going to die and stuff like that. Like, yeah, this is going to be 50 years down the line. And Shen claims that he's actually going to teach that aging breathing, the whatever it's called, the breathing technique that keeps him alive and in a prime for a lot longer. We don't know how long, but it seems to be like for a solid century-ish, we can assume. About a solid century worth. He's going to teach that to Oma and Ryuki so that they can live past the 50 years until the brain surgery technology is there, and then they'll be able to basically do it. And then he can have his epic fight. And he says Oma and Ryuki are going to die, and then, as I said, Yamagohan's like, you really, like, no, you can't do that. You're going to kill them. Do you not understand how horrible that is? And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't really think about that. Okay. Forget it. And it's like, wait, what? So at first I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't want to see Shen as the evil guy, right? Because I don't think he's inherently evil. I think he's chaotic and stuff like that, but he's not necessarily evil in its grandest of forms, right? So I'm like, really, this is his end goal and stuff, and he sees no problem with this, and I'm like, no, there's got to be a flip side to this. So Shen basically says, yeah, no, you're right, forget it. On one condition, and Yamagohan's like, wait, what? He's like, wait, you're just gonna forget everything you just explained is horrific. It's terrifying. It's terrible. It's evil. And you told me your whole plan, and now you're just like, oh, well, I didn't think about killing people being bad. Never mind, forget it. You're right. And it's like, wait, what? But I love that aspect about Shen's character. He's constantly throwing us for a loop. It's that whole, as I said, it's like Ryuki at the beginning of the series, that the fact that he was going to kill Oma and Ryuki to achieve his goal never entered his mind. That killing these two for his own selfish goals was morally or ethically wrong. That never entered his thought process. When Yamagohan points it out, that's when he, wait a minute, give me a sec. Yeah, that's kind of a dick move, isn't it? And then, but he does say on one condition. One condition. We don't know what the condition is because, once again, this is my problem with the pacing of this chapter. We jump away to say, okay, this part of the conversation happened. Obviously, nothing in between. And now we're going to jump forward from 256 into Willem is officially dead. So a lot of people, myself included, were like, okay, was he saying that for the badass tropey line, like, you know, because Ryan's got the jacket, he's got the sword, he's got the scar, and he's just like, give Gilbert my message in hell. You know, like, was he doing that kind of idea? He's already killed him. Like, can you even hear me anymore? You know, so, or would the message be the body or something like that? Or did he literally cut him across the face, Final Fantasy VIII style, and he was going to be left alive? No, because Gilbert shows up trying to be even more like Edward. The polo is different from the Hawaiian shirt, but it's not as cool. Let's just straight up say that the Hawaiian button-up was way cooler than any polo ever could be. Now, if Gilbert showed up on a golf course with the khakis and the polo, then I'd be like, okay, there's a dude who's going to the Masters. But other than that, yeah, it is kind of funny that he's looking less like a punk, less like a kid, and he's looking more and more beefy. He's slicking his hair back completely more, and he's not wearing like the gangsta sweaters and the fucking like, hey man, I'm just the cool kid version, No, he's starting to dress more like an adult, more like Edward is. He's acting more and more like Edward. And we see that he already knows about Otakamaru, and he takes this challenge head on. He's like, go find Ryan, because he's wondering why Willem wouldn't call him, sort of idea. The other Wu members are like, yeah, even with Superman syndrome, like, he died? Like, god damn, like, this is crazy. Like, with his muscles and stuff like that, he should have, a regular sword wouldn't have cut him like this. Holy crap. And so anyways, they go through that. Willem's confirmed dead. We get a scene where he's like, okay, demon king and god of the underworld and hell and back and blah, rah, rah. And it's all very, yeah, it's one of those. Anyway, so they have this little scene in between just to confirm that Willem's dead, that Gilbert's pissed off, and now he's lost his right-hand man, and now he's out for blood. He's going to go track down Ryan. That should be a good fight. I'm looking forward to that fight. Then, of course, we jump back to the other scene. As I said, this was to break it up so we don't know what the one condition is, because this is when, of course, we've just jumped that little bit into the future now, so we missed the main thing, and well, I'm sure we'll find out about it maybe next chapter after. But Yamagohan has agreed to this one condition. He's freaking out that he agreed to this one condition as Shen takes... he's picking up Jack, he's taking Joe home, sort of idea, and he's just like, and it's a funny little scene actually. He's like, yeah, let's go back to my place and have some more drinks. Oh, but my wife hates it when I come home drunk, so I fought valiantly, Jack. I fought valiantly, right? And he's like, all right, we'll get a cab, let's go home. And anyway, so they're just chilling. They're gonna take off, right? So, funnily enough, I'm curious if Joe knows or cares about any of the information that Yamagohan was previewed to now, like all of the conversation that Jackie had, sort of idea. I think Joe is sort of taking himself out of the equation. He's just like, as far as I'm concerned, Jackie's my buddy. What he does in the future and stuff, we'll deal with it then. But for right now, he's not out mass murdering, so it's all good, right? So I think that's sort of his approach, but I'd be curious to know if he knows the full extent like Yamagohan knows, because he was sort of dozing off, half drunk, half asleep during this conversation, so that would be interesting to figure out. But anyway, so yeah, that's the end part of the chapter, and the end part of the scene is basically like, he takes off, Yamagohan has agreed to this condition, we just don't know what the condition is. And as I said, the problem I have with this chapter, we could have been privy to what this condition was. We broke up the scene to build the unnecessary suspense to keep us on our toes for another week. But realistically, in this chapter, we learned... what? For a dialogue-heavy chapter, generally speaking, you want to learn a little bit, at least a little bit of lore. And right now, you could argue we did, but we got crumbs of a cookie. And we could have had half a cookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, so we confirmed that the tiger is Oma. We sort of already knew that. We confirmed that he doesn't want to do Hoi Sang and the cyber brain's not going to work. We sort of knew that too. And most of the community assumed that he was going to do some form of literally physically putting himself in the two separate bodies so he could have a fight. That's basically confirmed. What we got in this chapter was more tying up some loose ends and confirming a lot of things that most of the community assumed and already knew. So, and then the one new piece of information which would have been cool to have would have been, okay, he is going to say, no, I won't do the brain surgery plan, but I got a condition. And I'm curious as to what it is. I'm thinking if he can give him a fight of his life, if he can make this Kengan match that he's supposed to have, make him push himself to the 9th degree, you know what I mean? That is my only, right now, off the top of my head, that's my only theory that I have, is that Shen's like, alright, I'll forget this if I can finally have an epic fight. A fight that pushes me to my limits and beyond. If you can provide me with one of those fights in my lifetime, then I'll forget of killing Oma and Ryuki. Forget about using their bodies and stuff. As long as I can have a fulfilling fight one time in my life, then forget it, because that's the only reason I'm doing this. That's my theory as to what it is. I don't know, and if that's the case, why build, why wait to tell us? I don't like it when, because it's week-to-week series, a lot of unnecessary suspense is created. And it's done right here so blatantly with the panels and stuff. I'm just like, really, Sandro, you gonna do this? So anyways, funnily enough, I find this chapter harder pill to swallow than I did the Ryan versus Willem fight, unlike some in the community. So anyways, that's it from me though, guys. What did you guys think? Did I miss anything? I'm just going off this verbatim. Maybe I missed some dialogue there or something interesting, but yeah, key points to take away is that he wants to do brain surgery. Yamagohan has convinced him not to for a condition we are unaware of. Willem is confirmed dead, and now Gilbert's out for blood. That pretty much summarizes the rest of the chapter. Once again, thank you guys very much for watching, but also thank you much for all the comments and likes and stuff on the last video especially. And of course, technological difficulties in my outro. Alright, so just going to redo it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And we'll see all of you back here next time for chapter 258. As I said, I think that honestly this chapter is a little more, I got a few more problems with this chapter than I did with anything in the Ryan versus Willem fights. But, maybe that's just me. I'm a stickler for little things like timing and pacing and stuff like that, right? But that's it from me. What did you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys back here next week. Have a good one. Sayonara.